Morning. So we're going to be building up for it's not really a peak pose because we're going to do it 3 different times, 3 different ways. And it's going to be wild thing pose. So just so you know, we're going to start with the most gentle form of wild thing. And it does require you really listening to the instruction on how to turn certain parts of your body in order to achieve the correct opening. And we're not all going to look the same or be the same, and that's totally fine. We shouldn't be. With that being said, we'll leave the blocks out. I'll do it a different way. So when we go through 3 different forms of this pose, and it's going to be wild thing. The first one will be from the knees. The second one will be from plank. And the third one will be from downward facing dog. The one from downward facing dog is the one where we flip backwards. I don't expect you to do that if you have a strong fear factor with that, or if you're not fully aware of how to turn the body to achieve it. Which is why I want to build you up to it, so that at any point, even from plank, if plank is challenging for you to do that, or if you're not quite understanding it, just do it the first way. Sink a knee, and then do it the first way that we did it. Same thing once we get to downward facing dog. If you feel like it would be better from tabletop or from plank, you can obviously move from that position instead. But our theme today, I discovered that the root word, or the Greek root for the term crisis, means to sift. And to sift is to shake out the excess. And when we're shaking off the excesses, we leave what is important and what is of value, and the things that is truly important. And that really hit home to me when I saw that and read that. I was like, oh, interesting. So we have been through, I've been calling it a collective trauma, but it's been a collective crisis. And we've all had to do our own sifting. We've all had to figure out what is the most important. What are our priorities? What holds value? And there's some of us who have been, my friend termed it perfectly this morning. She said, a lot of people are in a hypnotic psychosis. I was like, that is the perfect term. I'm not saying you are. But I want you to consider what you've been sifting through, what you've had to let go of, because a lot of us, and I think all of us, have had to let go of people, certain friendships. We've had to let go of certain things that we were able to control and manage before that maybe is not in that realm anymore. We've had to let go of a lot of things that we actually enjoyed. And maybe just things that were filling up our calendar and filling up our time. And now we're realizing we don't want to go back to that. And so we're capable of letting it go. So some of the things we're resistant to, some of the things we're freely like, okay, done. And I had a realization Friday night. I was able to take my son to a concert because that's all he wanted for Christmas was concert tickets. Because he's a musician and he's at that age and he's ready to roll. And I want to have those experiences with him because when he was really young, I would create date nights, and our date nights were always to see music, whether it was the symphony or whether it was to a concert or whatever. And so I love the fact that he actually still enjoys going with me. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned to him the other night, I'm like, when you're 16 and you're able to drive, you can go with your friends. And he hadn't thought about that because his whole life has been with his mom. And he was like, really? You'll let me do that? And I'm like, that's all I did. Like, you're just going to have to work and you're going to have to pay for it. But I realized that evening, I'm like, I have sifted through a lot there's a lot of things that I even enjoyed that I let go of. And really the three main things in my life that I revolve around is yoga, music, and travel. Not that I get to travel a whole lot, but those are my three like staples that I'm like, this is it for me. This is what brings me the most joy. This is what I feel passionate about. And that's what it's kind of come down to. So I want you to consider as we're going through this practice today, because yoga and meditation is really here to help with the sifting. Because when we're moving the body, we're stirring things up and we're seeing what is stuck and we're trying to move it out and we're trying to release and let it go. Same thing with meditation when we're sitting with the mind. I often compare meditation as when you pour soda fresh in a glass. It just, bubbles and fizzes like extremely. But then as it sits, it starts to settle, but there's still the carbonation, right? That's what happens with the mind when we sit. All these things kind of come into our head. That's why most people say, I can't meditate, I think too much. Everybody does, you're not alone. And then all of a sudden, if you're not giving more life to the thoughts, they start to evaporate. But then you get into that still point, and there's still going to be a thought that comes up. There's still going to be a feeling or sensation that comes up, but you're creating that clearing, you're creating that space. You're sifting through all the mental chatter. And so that's why we're here. And that's what I want us to consider as we move through our practice. It's not just about the wild thing pose. That's fun and all. What we're really trying to do is open and expand the heart when we get there so that we're sifting through even the heart. All right, so let's begin on, let me show you something really quick. Because if you haven't done this in a while, you may be like, what? When we're on our back at some point, we're going to, doesn't this look like sifting? You've got like, trying to put something over a dessert, some powdered sugar or something. But we're gonna be doing this, and we're gonna be doing this, shaking, okay? So that way you know what we're doing once you're on your back. So go ahead and start on your back, please. Feel free to have your hands taking residence on your belly. Your feet can fan open. Unless you need to bend the knees to cater to your back. Close the lids of the eyes. And take a moment just to feel the ground below. Notice the heavy points in your back body. For me, I feel it in the heels, the sacrum, shoulder blades, and skull. But it may show up differently for you. And then start to notice your skin that is wrapped with clothing in comparison to any exposed skin. The difference in the temperature. Then notice the varying temperature with your breath. Slightly cooler on the inhalation, slightly warmer on the exhalation. Look at your breath as a way to tap within. It's a way to connect your mind and body. And as a tool to help with the sifting required in this practice. Let's go ahead and begin some movements. Let's inhale, walk the feet back so the ankles are lining up underneath the knees. Place your hands now beside your hips. And we're gonna start pushing into the feet, rocking the spine, back and forth like I demonstrated. So I believe that I have heard this called somatic movement. And I know this type of shimmying back and forth helps to open up the spinal fluid. Keep rocking back and forth. 3, 2, and 1. Now we're going to lift the feet off the floor and we're going to lift the arms up towards the ceiling. So I heard a teacher once called this June bug asana. And it made me laugh because like the green beetle June bugs in the summer sometimes get flipped on their back and their shell is so heavy, their legs are just like shaking like this. And they need help to flip back over so they can fly away. So let's go ahead and act like we're a June bug trapped on the shell of our back. And you're shaking your feet, you're shaking your hands, you're shaking your legs, you're shaking your arms. I've never done this in Kundalini Yoga, but someone told me it stems from Kundalini Yoga. So sifting is kind of shaking things up. That's what we're doing here. Waking up the energy. This type of shaking is also good for the joints. 3, 2, and 1. Now bring the feet back down. Let the feet come together. Let the knees open out to the sides. Rest your arms beside you with your palms turned open. Your heart rate may have increased. Your breath rate might have increased. Slow it down now. In fact, place your left hand over your heart. Place your right hand on top of that. Take 3 deep diaphragmatic breaths. On your next in breath, lift the knees back up, ground the feet, bring your arms beside you, palms facing downward, and push down through the soles of the feet, tuck the tailbone, and lift thighs, hips, abdomen, chest into a low bridge. So in the low bridge, you're just trying to make a diagonal line from your shoulders to your knees. Roll your thighs inward as if you're holding and squeezing a block. Now this tucking of the tailbone is utilized in wild twink pose. So remember this action, and we'll bring it into play later. Now let's see if we can go into a higher bridge. Let's see if we can tuck the shoulders under the body. Let's see if we can build the pelvis up to a higher level. See if you can lift the chest towards the chin. And then affirming as you hold. I offer every thought as a bridge to divine grace. Imagine if that was true. That would be amazing, right? But that's what we do with meditation. We're sifting through our thoughts. What is helpful? What is hurtful? What is useful? What is useless? What is positive? What is negative? What is high vibration? What is low vibration? What is judgmental? What is compassionate? I offer every thought as a bridge to divine grace. Now let's slide the shoulders wide. Roll down to the sacrum. Pick up your feet. Cradle them in with your arms, keeping your sacrum anchored to the floor. See if you can breathe into the backside of your lungs. Affirming here, I reduce all my scattered forces to rise up and away into the sky. I release all the excesses that no longer serve me away from my mind and body. Now drop the feet gently to the floor, roll to the right side body, push down through your left hand and gently come up. We're gonna come to stand at this point. When you come to stand at the top of the mat, we're gonna open up the shoulders because we need the arms to open up for wild thing. So we're gonna bend the knees, we're gonna flex the right wrist. And as we inhale, we're lifting the arm up. As we exhale, we backstroke the arm, we swoop it down. Inhale back to the top. Exhale, take it down and around. I love this. I learned this from Saul David Ray. He does this every time I've ever practiced with him. So I can't help but give him acknowledgement for this. Now I like to use the Hasta Drishti. That means we're following the hand, our eyes. If that strains your neck for whatever reason, you don't have to have that Drishti. 3, 2, and 1. All right, take it to the left. Left wrist flex. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, take it down and around. I personally like to go slower on the inhale, a little faster on the exhale. But remember, you can personalize your practice. Last week we talked about the water tiger being the Chinese zodiac of this year. And that was about showing your unique stripes. Three, 2, last one. All right. Separate the feet, soften your knees, shake it up a little bit more. So we're gonna do, it's called a twisting kriya. So I know lots of times when we're doing more formal twists, we typically stabilize the hips. But in this twisting kriya, we're actually allowing the hips to spin with our waist. Your arms are loose and limp. Your head is spinning with you. Remember, twists are very cleansing to the body and to various systems of the body. All right, we're going to slow it down. 3, 2, and 1. And come back to an anatomical position. And I wouldn't suggest closing the eyes because you're going to get a blood rush, which demonstrates what we usually say. Twist, help the energy to come up to the brain. You can feel that here. Now walk the feet closer together. Ground down through the 4 corners, hands to prayer position at the heart. We'll begin our flow. As you inhale, sweep the arms to your sides and up to Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, pour down to Uttanasana. Now we're gonna pause here a moment just because we haven't really opened the back side of the legs yet. I want your body to gain this opening, especially since it's earlier in the day. Your legs can be straight or slightly bent. But gravitate down with your upper body. Nodding your head yes or no to help to unravel tension that may be in your neck. Breathe well here. All right, we're ready to move on. So plant your palms. Inhale, step into plank. Now, when you come to plank position, let your arms be strong like columns. If you drag your thighs, it's going to dip your hips and strain your back. So you want your thighs lifted. Now, on your exhalation, let's go ahead and lower the left knee down. We're going to back the foot and shin away. We're going to rotate down to the sole of the right foot and fly the right arm skyward. So right now we're just in a modified side plank. Now notice your right foot may feel pretty light. So kind of glue it down. Now take the top arm and reach it across the ear. Reach through the fingertips, create that dynamic stretch through the right side body. All right, we're going to start to explore the modification for Wild Thing. So the first instruction is shift your left foot more towards your left hand. Just walk or slide it, walk or slide it. Second step, turn your right toes to the back of your mat. You got it. Now start to tuck the tailbone third. When you tuck the tailbone, start to lean back and spin the belly and chest open towards the sky. Let the right arm hang back with your head. Now this is an option for you to come back to at the other intervals where we come back to Wild Thing. This is a big, expansive opening for the heart. And just like the song says, let your heart sing. Now gently unroll, slide your left shin back as you pivot the back foot and land your right hands. Good. Come to plank. From plank, I want you to rock forward, shoulders past the wrist. Exhale, press back into your calves. Do that twice more. You're just shifting forward and back. Forward and back. Strengthening your wrist because we need that for that pose. Now gently lower down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, rise to Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, roll it on back. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Downward facing dog. Open up the channel of your breath. Lengthen fully through the spine. Inhale, come forward to plank and land your right knee. Shift that foot and shin behind you. Press down through the left foot. Fly the left arm up. And just be here. This is a good prep pose. Notice your left foot might be barely touching your mat. So apply the pressure down and then extend the left arm over the ear. Breathe into your side body. Now we'll start to move in the direction of Wild Thing. So the right foot shimmies back towards the right hand. The left toes turn to the back of the mat. The tailbone tucks. We start to lean back. We start to spin the belly and chest open. It's okay if you don't feel as limber to one side. That's true for all of us. Feel the expansive, ecstatic awakening of your heart. And then gently take your time, bring the left hand down, the right shin back. The left knee's going to join, and we're going to take the weight off the wrist. And we're going to bring it into child's pose. So circle the arms around you so the palms are open by your ankles. Wiggle the fingers and rest on the brow. And let this be a calming agent for the mind. Let all those other poses we've just done and all the poses to come just fall away. Just be here now. Body and breath. On your next inhale, stretch the arms forward and out. Lift your face, rock up some hands and knees. Curl your toes, launch into downward facing dog. Really lengthen through the underside of the arms. See if you can open up the pits of the arms. See if you can open up the underside of the belly. And how high can you reach to the pinnacle of the pose? So when you're ready, step, lunge, or float the feet to the top of the mat and just close straight down. And breathe it out. On your next inhale, press down to the feet, circle the arms wide enough overhead into Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bring the hands down the center, returning to the heart. All right. Inhale, open up. Exhale, fold into yourself. Maybe trying to straighten the legs a little bit more than you did before. Inhale, we're going to take plank. Now from plank, we're going to flip to the outer edge of the left foot and reach the right arm up. If you need the modification, bring the left knee down like we did earlier, or step the right foot over and use that foot like a kickstand to keep the hips up. Good, exhale, come to full plank. Take it to the other side. Your way, your style, your expression. Many ways to do it. From Vasisthasana, come back to full plank. All right, from full plank, we're going to step the right foot over, continue to turn the left toes to the back of the mat. Tuck the tailbone like you did in bridge. Open up the heart center, peg the head and right arm back. Good. Gently rotate, turn, plank. When you're ready, we're taking it to the other side. Left foot steps behind. Right foot rotates. Tuck the tailbone, elevate your hips. Wild thing from plank. Most importantly, breathe. That will sustain you, that will support you. When you're ready, flip back to plank. Good. Shift forward, lower down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, rise to up dog. Exhale, rock and roll back. Downward facing dog. Hold and breathe. Think about, as a child or as an adult, being on a sandy beach and picking up some loose, soft sand. And the sand just falling through the fingertips. But yet some sand stays stuck to the hand or held within your palm. When you're moving through this sifting, what are you letting go of? What are the excesses? And what are you hanging on to? Come down to your knees. Ponder that for a moment as you return to child's. Circling the arms around you so you can gently round your back, taking the weight off the wrist. Having this internal introspection. Next in breath, let's stretch the arms out to extended child's. Lift the face, rock forward, Curl your toes, lift to down dog. When you're ready, you can meditationally walk, lunge, or float the feet simultaneously together to the top of the mat and humbly release. Bow, magnetizing the head and the heart lower towards your knees and chins. Last thing, no one on this earth can hold me down or back. I'm holding on to what is the most valuable and important things in my life. Inhale, root down to rise up. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, we got one more flow. We're gonna take it up a notch this time. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, folding. Forward folds are all about letting go. Inhale, take your plank. We're gonna go ahead and rock through the vinyasa, lowering down to chaturanga dandasana. Inhale into upward facing dog. Exhale into downward facing dog. Now take a moment here to look to both sides of your mat. Once in the old studio, there was a blanket next to me and I didn't realize it. And I flipped in down dog and I slid and almost pulled a muscle. I was fine, I didn't get injured, but we don't want that. Trust me, speaking from experience, it hurt. All right, inhale, we're gonna walk the feet just slightly closer together. So there's not as wide of a gap. Exhale, be here. All right, inhale, we're gonna lift the left leg up. And we're gonna bend the knees, so stay with me, don't flip the dog yet. Just do downward scorpion. Downward scorpion is part of our transition. Now you're gonna start to turn your head up underneath the left arm. When you do that, feel how your right foot's wanting to turn. Let it turn and lift your left hand off the floor. Tuck the tailbone, roll open, loudly. When you're ready, pick up that left foot, spin your right foot, lower that left palm, and power back to down dog. Now the feet may have a wide gap in between again, so close the gap. Inhale, lift the right leg skyward, scissor up. Good, bend the top knee, elevate that knee. Now remember, you can come to plank or down to tabletop for the wild thing. But if you want to follow my instruction, start to spin through your shoulders. Lower the left shoulder, lift your right, drop your head. Start to turn the left foot, it'll happen naturally. Sink down to the right foot, lift the right arm, roll it open. Breathe. Get a whole new viewpoint in this room. When you're ready, flip the dog. Lengthen up and back, up and back, up and back. Exhale, land your knees and give your hands a rest. Folding into child's. So wild thing was more or less our peak pose today. How did it feel for you? All right, we're gonna slide the hands alongside the knees, just enough to pick up the head to separate the knees even wider. The left arm is gonna thread through, and the right arm is gonna loop behind the back. We're gonna rest on the left temple, and feel free to close the eyes. We're kind of moving into a yin stretch now. The big toes should touch. The weight is coming down on the back side of the left arm, stretching out that shoulder. Soften the muscles of the face. Soften your jaw, tongue, your lips. I want you to ponder for a moment with your eyes shut. If you feel like you have entered some form of that hypnotic psychosis. So one of the things that I've let go of that I really love to do, and it's not that I haven't done it at all, but I haven't done it near as much, is go hiking. So there may be something that really fills you up and fills your cup and nourishes your soul that you may need to bring back. Maybe some healthier habits that you had before you could bring back. And then sift through the other habits and let the poor habits go. Let's gently release the back arm. Unthread the left arm. We'll take it to the other side. Right arm is going to thread under. And the left arm's going to hook behind your back. Face plant down on the right temple. Explore a longer, stronger exhalation. When we carry or hoard stress or tension in the body, it can calcify and turn into pain. So if you find some tight or achy areas, just know that you're helping to break that up. When we break that up, it can get released. It's part of the sifting. On your next inhale, lower the left arm, unthread the right arm. All right, draw those knees back together, slide the arms out, rock up to hands and knees, tap the toes, roll up and back, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now that we've worked on the shoulders, we're gonna work a little bit more into the hips. So close that gap between the big toes again, and then uplift your right leg. Once you lift the right leg, move into downward scorpion, but we're not lifting the dog unless you just really want to go for it again. Maybe that's your favorite pose and you're like, yippee-yay. If you don't want to flip the dog, we're going to unroll the hip. We're going to bring that shin behind the hands. And we're going to move into pigeon. But before we come down, bring the fingertips in towards your body. Push down through your shins, ankles, and feet. See if you can pull up through the pelvic floor, maybe even float the hands. Working out the left psoas. Now bring your hands to your hips, make sure they feel level, and then sink. And bring the palms forward, come down to Sphinx arms if you need that approach. And if you want to spill down more, that's available. Or you can move into it. So I want you to notice how we can not only stretch out the hip, but we're also getting a piece of the glutes back into the buttocks, where we were doing the tucking before. The tucking in bridge, the tucking in wild thing. But this is bringing a nice counter. Since we're all face down, I want us to take a cleansing breath. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out thoroughly through your mouth. Inhale slowly, start to lift. When you prop to your hands, your knee is now going to point straight forward in between your hands, and you're going to walk the hands forward, lifting the left leg, tucking that knee underneath, and then we'll sit back in between the ankles. Let's spin this way. So we're going to go into Gomukhasana. Make sure both sit bones are on the floor. Lift your left arm, and go ahead and turn your palm to face the back of the room. Bend from the elbow, and that arm may want to flop out. So take your free hand to tuck it in, and your right arm's going to reach around behind your back, and you can wiggle or slow it upstream. Now, sometimes we get kind of crooked when we're doing that. So bring the straight edge lines to your side body and pull the front ribs in. Close your eyes. My lineage of yoga actually calls this space of light. I want you to imagine that your eyes and your face are illuminated with a brilliant light. Affirming here as you hold, free of my heart, I choose to live from a place of love and release all fear. Gently release the arms. Once you release the arms, you're going to rock back up. Lengthen your left leg back, your right leg back, and then just press back, downward facing dog. Line up your feet so they're fairly close together. Uplift your left leg skyward. Take downward scorpion. You really want this wilding pose again. You can seize this opportunity. Otherwise, unroll the hip, bring the shin to the front of the mat. Slide your right leg back. The knee should be kind of facing the edge of the mat, and you're walking your hands in, aligning the vertebrae, anchoring through the points that touch the floor, and rising up through your root lock, belly lock. Stretching out the right psoas, hands to the hips, square them up, settle them down, and try to keep that evenness as you fold forward. Your degree. Create a rhythmic breath. Know that you're receiving a nice counter in the glutes. Deep in here in this pose. And sifting things in your mind. Let's do a cleansing breath since we're face down. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, let it go through the mouth. I know we should be coming out, but it just feels so good. Inhale, it slowly starts to fill it up. We'll move towards Gomukhasana. So once you've lifted up enough to shift the knee to center, we can bring the weight off the back leg, tuck it up underneath that front knee, and sit back in between. If that transition doesn't work for you, just come in the other way. All right, from here, let's lift the right arm up, then the hand, then the arm. And then let's tuck that arm in a little closer to the head. Then circle the left arm behind the back. Don't worry if it reaches the fingers or not. One side I can, one side I can't. You may be similar. Draw the rib cage into your skin. Sit right on top of your sits bones. Close the eyes. Free in my heart. I choose to live without fear. I choose love. Your next exhalation, just release your arms. We're gonna twist to the left first today, then to the right. So since that left leg's crossed on top, just plant the foot and lift the left knee. Take your right arm to hold it there in place and circle that left hand behind you. Let's send our love, goodwill, and compassion to the construction workers behind you, because they have no idea. Let's just embrace it. Exhale and one. All right, we're gonna do something fun here. The hands are gonna come over to the right side. And we're gonna lift the feet. And we're gonna rotate the feet, rotate the hand, rotate the whole body. Keep turning, keep turning, keep turning, keep turning until you face the front. And then your left knee will lower. You'll sit back down. Your right foot's over and your knee is up. Bring that left arm to hold the knee. Right hand behind your back. Have the eyes open or closed, your choice. Ardha Matsyendrasana. Radiate my love, goodwill, and compassion to soul friends everywhere. Send it to those people who walked away from you, that walked out of your life. Send it to those who you chose to release. Send it to those who are still a part of your life. Send it to strangers around the world. Send it to our leaders around the world. Exhale. We're going to bring the feet together. We're going to do a counter pose after that twist. And we're going to do, I'm sprinkling in a little yin. We're going to do the yin form of butterfly. So you have a diamond shape with your legs. And then your inhale, lifting the chest. And then exhale, folding and rolling over. If it's not the best idea to round your back, you can always pull the heels in and keep the back straight. And do more of a bound angle pose. And this is another one where I want you to attempt to breathe into the back body, breathe into the back side of your lungs. We often forget about the back body because we're so attentive to the front body. It's the only thing we typically see with our reflection in water or in the mirror. More what we reveal to the world. But the back body holds importance too. So we start to unfurl back. If you want to use a bolster for Shavasana, you can. You can use it multiple ways. I'm just demoing, placing it under the thighs. Now, if your back feels tweaked at all, right? If you come into this position from doing Wild Thing, then it might be more beneficial for you to turn the bolster up like this, which can give a little bit more length to the low back. So just check in with your body. Explore your options and see how your body responds. So I mentioned earlier, to sift is the shaking out of the excesses, holding on to what is important and valuable. But to sift also means to examine something or the self thoroughly. To sift through the stressors of our life, to sift through the ups and the downs, to sift through the aches and the pains, to sift through one breath at a time. And this is why Shavasana is a really important part of the practice, because we come to the end, we've sifted through the body, and now we get to see what remains. And hopefully there's a calm sense of serenity that remains. I know we have some distraction today. Try to focus on your breathing or the music in the background. Continues to take over. Just meditate on those sounds as they come and go. Go ahead, Megan.
Here with Thunder. Are you doing yoga?
Try. Deep in the flow of the breath and begin to create your exit out of your pose. And be reminded of a quote from a movie I saw years ago. If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Once you roll to one side of your body, come on up to take a seat. Sitting with the spine held up. Sitting with your heart wide open. Bring your hands down to prayer position at your body. The light and the love within my heart bows humbly to the light and the love that you hold within yours. May we allow that light and love to shine as we depart from our practice, giving others permission to do the same. Thanks, you guys, for coming.